Welcome to Showdown. I'm Mark Kaysen, and it is Monday, July the 15th. Wow. I guess we all know what happened last week. We all saw it live. We heard the pops. We saw the bullet whiz by the man's ear. And now all we've listened to over and 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 over is every kind of way of looking at the same thing. But here's what it boils down to, very simply. A crazed kid went berserk. Some people say he was bullied into it over the last 17 years of his life. You know what? It doesn't matter. Because there's only one thing that matters. This country has hundreds of millions of guns for absolutely no reason except to guarantee that some insane kid will get the gun and shoot innocent people. Donald, very lucky, as he said, very fortunate, he survived. But as far as the guy who died because he jumped on his family in order to prevent them from dying, see, that's bad enough. There were two others who were hurt seriously, but they're going to be okay. So they say, whatever that means. You get shot like that and you're in the hospital, and at one point they were critical. I mean, I don't know how you ever recover, but they say they're going to be okay, at least physically and maybe emotionally eventually. I don't know. But I know this. We don't have to do this. We just don't. There's absolutely no reason for it at all. We should be able to go to a concert. We should be able to go to listen to Donald Trump. We should be able to go anywhere. Baseball games, football games. I don't care where. We should be able to go in peace. And as long as you make guns available to people like this, they're going to get those guns and shoot. I don't care if the Secret Service made a mistake. Everybody can look at that building and say they should have been guarding the building. The Secret Service says that they told the local officials to take responsibility for that building. And so, okay, they should have done it. It's not the point. That is not the point at all. The point is a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the people's right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's the law. It doesn't say you can have a gun. It doesn't say I can have a gun. It doesn't say that nitwit who wanted to kill Trump can have a gun. It certainly doesn't say that everybody in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, this week can walk up and down the street with an exposed gun. It doesn't say that, but Wisconsin law says it because some crazed right-wing nuts passed a law that is approved of by Clarence Thomas, Sam Alito, and several other misguided jurists who are only lucky that the gun wasn't pointed in their direction. And, I've said for a long time that there's only one way that these guns are going to go away. And you can look at all the people from all of the famous events, Columbine and every other little school that's been blown away where little kids have been killed. I mean, go to every one of them. And the problem is the right person didn't die. And I don't know who that is. There's somebody out there that this country will not accept. I don't know who it is. Obviously, it wasn't Donald's ear. Nobody's going to lose any sleep over that. They should lose some sleep over it. They should be very worried, but they're not. They're not worried about Donald's ear. They're not worried about the firefighter who protected his family. They're not worried about 50 kids in an elementary school, unless somewhere in there is the right one. I'm not sure who it is, but there is some person out there that this country will not accept. Why we even are like that, I don't know. It's a sickness. I mean, it should be everybody. We shouldn't be willing to even give up the left corner of Donald's ear. We should give up nothing. We should just get rid of the guns. Just take them away. Get everybody's gun, and we'll be done with it. If people want to take a bow and arrow and go out and shoot target practice and pretend they're Robin Hood, yeah, I could go along with that one. Not that it's necessary. I mean, it's not like I'm saying we should do it. I'm just saying if you have to do something, make a person pull the string and aim the arrow and take a long time. And then if it hits somebody, it's a shame. I mean, if you really want to do something dangerous, give them that. Or even firecrackers. I mean, you could do that. I mean, we shouldn't have firecrackers, for sure. I understand. 4th of July, everybody likes firecrackers. I did it myself. I blew them up in my hands, cherry bombs, and then I couldn't hear for a week. And I probably can't hear now. Sitting here with these headphones on, which, it helps. It's good. It's probably because of that cherry bomb I had in my hand when I was 10. But we need to stop these guns. We shouldn't have them anywhere. Nobody. I have friends who have them. I have lots of friends who have lots of guns. And then they pry them out of my cold, dead hands. That story. Yeah, somebody shoots your head off, I guarantee you, there are going to be a bunch of people in your family who are going to be very sad, and you might ruin their lives by having you murdered. I don't want to hit Donald. I don't want to hit you. I don't want to hit anybody with these guns. I wouldn't want anybody to take out those guns to shoot Adolf Hitler. Because there's another way to get rid of that. I mean, you can stop that. Grab them, tie them up, put them in a basement somewhere and leave them there for 30 years, whatever. But you don't need to be shooting people. There's no constitutional amendment that guarantees you the right to this insanity. And I've given out some of the names. I can tell you that the best name in the country for details on this, but although there are a couple others, and I've mentioned them too, but the best one is Saul Cornell. Saul Cornell is an expert on the Second Amendment. You can read his book on the Second Amendment, and I assure you, you'll walk away and go, we may want guns, but there's no amendment that says you get to have one, because there just isn't. There's nothing out there that assures you the right to a gun. Nothing. Except for some very sick people in this country who are desperate for guns. And like I say, I don't know who it is. I don't know which venue it will be, but the day will come when one of these 15-year-old nuts will go out and start shooting everybody in sight, and he'll shoot the wrong person. Because when that wrong person or group of wrong people are hit, a bunch of people in this country are going to be horrified beyond even what we've seen so far, and this will stop. But not until that happens. Someone's going to have to die, apparently, because right now people are dying and we're not stopping it. We just let it go. I mean, you would think that tens of millions of people in this country would be crying for Donald's right ear. Oh, save Donald's right ear. Let's get rid of the Second Amendment. Hey, if that's what it took, that'd be great. Save Donald's ears and let's go on. No, really, this is ridiculous. We don't need these guns. You're killing people that shouldn't die. And listen, Donald, lost the corner of an ear, but that one firefighter will never go home to his family ever again. He's not a political player. Did he deserve this? I mean, honestly, nobody deserves it. Zero. Get rid of these guns. Okay. Now, speaking of crazy people, leave it to Donald. This is the amazing thing about him. This just gives you an idea of how horrible he is. He's got this opportunity. There was a horrific event, and Donald even said the two words, Unite America. But see, as I always say, everything out of his mouth is a lie. So let's look at today's lie. You want to throw that out there, Joe?
About this before,
ADB.
About past comments that you've made about Donald Trump. You've said, I'm a never Trump guy, never liked him, terrible candidate, idiot if you voted for him, might be America's Hitler, might be a cynical a-hole, cultural heroine, noxious and reprehensible.
I was wrong about Donald Trump. I didn't think he was going to be a good president, Brett. He was a great president.
I don't know if the flip-flop doesn't make you throw up.
Did that audio go out? Okay, which is fine. I couldn't hear it, but pull it off. That's good. Okay, so you heard it, and J.D. Vance saying that Donald Trump is the worst person on the planet and that he is America's Hitler. America's Hitler. Gee, forget J.D. Vance. I can be the vice president. I can tell you he's America's Hitler. So we agree on that much. But J.D. Vance, ran around saying all these things, and now he says he turned out to be better than I thought. Are you kidding? Surely you understand that these are the best examples of not just people lying, but people who are so disingenuous. Everything they say is just, it's not real. It's not what they think. You'll never know what they think. So under those circumstances, why would you support one of these people? I played Donald Trump last week 3 times at least, 3 or 4. Lying, telling the lie. He said that he supported Project 2025. I mean, we played the clip right here. He said that he ordered the Heritage Foundation to produce this document. And at the same time, he's saying he never heard of the document, never heard of the people who produced it, didn't know what's in it. And by the way, of all those things that he doesn't know about, there are a whole bunch of those things that he doesn't even support. Which, how could you do that if you don't even know what they are? It's all a lie. It's all Donald does. Lie after lie after lie. Now, I'm doing it the day after he lost 1/4 or corner of his ear because I'm not running for anything and I'm not scared. You know, Joe Biden's being a very nice person. He's not talking about the lies today. Tomorrow, yeah. But today, we're on break. But tomorrow, it starts up again. And in the meantime, what did J.D. Vance say last week? I don't have a clip on it. Doesn't matter. He said it repeatedly. And if you don't believe it, go look it up on YouTube and Google. He said, Joe Biden is responsible for this. Joe Biden is responsible for this because Biden said that Donald is a threat to our democracy. Well, wait a second. You just heard J.D. Vance say that Donald Trump, see how you make mistakes? Relax, guys. People make mistakes. Anyway, the point is that Donald Trump said over and over everything imaginable that sounds like Adolf Hitler. And J.D. Vance said he is Adolf Hitler. And we support him? Or somebody does. Look, J.D. Vance is as dangerous as Trump because he's also a psychopathic liar. Now, I'll grant you this. I don't have the background that Mary Trump has to make that diagnosis. So really, to be fair, if I want to call anybody a psychopath, that would have to be Donald because there's evidence of that. J.D. Vance, he may be a psychopath, but let's be fair, because we're going to go with a real psychiatrist, Mary Trump, who says that Donald is a psychopath. But J.D. Vance, she hasn't opined on that yet, at least as far as I know. Maybe she will. Donald had a chance. He had a chance to dial down the temperature of all of this political rhetoric. That's what Joe Biden asked for. And Donald did it for about 10 seconds. And in fact, he has a speech out there. And if you listen to that speech, it sounds like it was written by the same person who wrote the Bible. Honestly. Is that how Donald writes and thinks and talks? I don't think so. No, we know it's not. But somebody wrote it for him, and it just sounded laughable. I mean, this is the guy who's selling Donald Trump Bibles for $60, which everybody that's a real Christian says is blasphemy. Now, I'm not a Christian, so I don't know. But Christians say that putting out a Bible for $60 to raise money for your political campaign in order to hurt migrants, deport American citizens, and generally operate a fascist government, that's blasphemy. So we'll see. I don't think you really have much to worry about because Donald's going to go berserk, which he's already doing, and he'll squander this opportunity that he's got to quiet things down and get himself elected. Thankfully, because that's the danger here. I mean, he got himself a cut on his ear, and as a result, he was scared for about 10 minutes. Now, he puts J.D. Vance out of all those people he was picking, the absolute worst one. The wild-eyed person who's going to scream and yell and accuse everybody of everything. Hey, that's fine with me. Because my concern is that he'd pick somebody, I don't know, Tim Scott, and the two of them would quietly and respectfully run a campaign from here until November. And believe me, he could get elected doing that. Even I agree that there are enough people out here who support Donald Trump that if he came out and tried to pull the country together and turn the temperature down on all this name calling business and just try to act right like a human being, he could win the election. And then after he won, he could look you all in the eye and go, suckers, and then take Project 2025 out and tear this country apart. But see, he's not even smart enough to do that. How much do you know about history? You know, in 1936, there was a guy who was prepared to run against Roosevelt, and his name was Huey Long. Huey Long was the governor of Louisiana, and he was Donald Trump. He was a psychopath. He was a liar. He did lots of bad things. Really bad. I mean, personally bad. Immoral, like Trump, rape kind of stuff. I mean, this guy was prepared to do anything that satisfied him. And you know what? He was loved, truly loved. There was a movie about him with Broderick Crawford, and the name of that movie was All the King's Men. And then there was another movie. No, not a movie. Well, yeah, a documentary. And you can watch this tonight. Well, you can watch the Broderick Crawford movie also. But if you go to Google, or YouTube rather, probably, and put in Huey Long, PBS documentary. It'll come up. It's about an hour and a half documentary. And everybody that watches it says, wow, that guy's like Trump. Well, he is. The only difference is that Huey Long was a left-wing crazed nut, whereas Donald is, right-wing, like, Hitler and Mussolini and those people. But Huey Long was horrible, and he was scary. A lot of people worried about him. Do you know what happened to Huey Long? I mean, maybe you don't even know you may not even know his name. He was assassinated, and that ended the whole thing. And then, of course, Roosevelt won his second term, and everything moved forward. And Huey Long was not assassinated by somebody like this kid or anything like that. He was murdered by a family member. There was a person in his family who had been so wronged by Huey Long and so fearful of what he could do if let loose that shot him, killed him. So, I mean, like I say, you can watch it on the movie with Broderick Crawford, or you can watch it in a documentary form from PBS. Very interesting, really is. Informative about where all this radicalism comes from and what it gets us, because it doesn't get us anything good. Now, in this case, of course, Franklin Roosevelt won, which was probably a great thing because he was a great president. But the fact is, Huey Long was running around telling everybody. In fact, this was his slogan: "Every man a king." So basically, he was pandering to individuals that each one of you is a king in your own right, and you can have everything, and I, Huey Long, can help you get it. It worked in Louisiana, and it might have worked nationally for all we know. We don't know. Might have. But it's just another interesting aspect of history that you ought to take a look at, separate from the Hitler problem, which, of course, we've talked about Hitler and von Hindenburg, which really scares you when you think about, our current, Joe Biden. And believe me, Joe Biden's doing great things. He's speaking very nicely and saying great words, and his even off-the-cuff remarks show great insight into all kinds of political areas. Everybody says especially foreign policy, but it's everything. The guy is very good, but he's not John Kennedy. His language, his words, his style will not inspire a generation to greatness. On the other hand, he might pass laws that could be so effective that they would certainly rival Franklin Roosevelt, because that's where he is so far. The things that he did in his first term have been enormously successful. Infrastructure, the CHIPS Act, which is so important for industrial development. It's not just producing chips. There's a whole lot more involved. Very good, complex legislation supported by both parties. This guy has done a ton, including addressing, which he promises he's going to do again, child care for families who can't afford to pay $1,400, $1,500, $2,000 a month to take care of their kids when they're at work. I mean, it might be difficult to do if you got one kid. If you've got 3 kids in these things, you're looking at anywhere from $4,500 to $6,000 a month just for childcare. And Joe Biden's telling you, we need to fix it. He's out here dealing with student loan problems. We've got $1.3 trillion in student loans, and I am telling you now, they will never all be paid. No way. What we've done so far is the tip of the iceberg. All these things are going to be canceled. We got no choice because the people who owe the money can't afford it. And someday we're going to go into a steep recession. Might be sooner than later. I don't know, but it might. And when it happens, we're going to cancel all that debt. I promise. You watch. There's no choice. You're going to have to get out of the hole that we're digging for ourselves, and that's going to be the way. And then instead of charging people for loans that they're never going to pay back, we just need to pay for everybody to go to school. Just pay for it. Stop playing games. You don't have to pay for everybody to go to Harvard, but you could pay for everybody to go to 2 years of community college and then 2 more years at a state college. You could do that. It would have a vast impact on this country, and we need to do it. And my guess is we will do it. We'll probably do it before we get rid of guns, and that is the shame of all, because if we don't get rid of these guns, we're nuts. And I'll grant you, you put all of these things together, line them up, end after end, and what do you have? You've got a very sensible left-wing agenda. I mean, what does that mean? It means that the government is going to stand up for people and help them. And in the process of helping people, the country will grow. Within a capitalist structure, nobody's talking about communism. This works. How do we know it works? Because we've done it already. We've had enormous success with it. But every time we do have this success, somebody comes in and shuts it down and says, it's a bunch of commies. And that's a bunch of foolishness that gets us nowhere. Except for, I'll tell you where we should get. There's one place we should go. And that's to eat dinner at Wendy's. Wendy's is at 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road. It's in Chesterfield Valley. Great food. They've got wings. They've got smoked meats. They've got patty melts and hamburgers and cheeseburgers. They've got pizza. They've got salad. They've got great food. Now, from my standpoint, yeah, they've got those baby back ribs, and they're good. I sold some of them to Ray Hartman when he was here a week and a half ago. We went down there, said hi to Ben, and shipped Ray home with a bunch of ribs. He didn't get the onion rings, but that's my taste. Onion rings, great, excellent at Wendy's. They've got everything. And all you have to do, if you want some pizza, you want some wings, you want some ribs, whatever it is, and a great environment in which to eat, you just go to 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road. You could go and ask for Ben. If he's there, he'll say hi. He's very nice. And I promise you'll love the food. Now, the next place to go is Wendy's. Sure, because there's another one in Defiance. So you can eat nice in Chesterfield and then go do the same thing right in Defiance and just keep eating. Never stop. You got to stop sometime. But anyway, $29.99 South Highway 94. That's in Defiance. Same great food. It's Wendy's. Now, if you're looking for a jewelry store, you're going to go to 4506 Hampton, and that's Jewels on Hampton. Jewels on Hampton, they are experts when it comes to designing jewelry, when it comes to buying and selling jewels and coins at prices that are good for the public and for themselves. Everybody comes out in good shape because Al and his son AJ are just good guys. They want to make sure that they stay in business for a long time, which they already have, and they do it the right way. They take care of you. They make sure they make a profit too. Everybody goes home happy. So jewels and coins, you can buy and sell them. And then, of course, they design jewelry for you. They're very accomplished designers when it comes to that. And then on top of everything, they'll fix your watch, which is very important. You know, I talk all the time about my gold Seiko that I've had for 45 years. And, you know, you don't want to have something like that and then have it wrecked. So you just need to know that you got a place to go for fixing your watch. That's Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton. Now, great clothes. And you know, school is 1 month away. It's coming in August. And I am dressed for the part. I've got all my suits. I've got all my shirts and ties. Of course, it's 2024, so I can wear jeans. I've got brand new jeans that they go with the suits, and chucks, which go with the jeans. I mean, this is fashionable in 2024. And all you got to do is go to the St. Louis Suit Company in Clayton on the corner of Forsyth and Central, and they'll set you up for everything so that you can dress nice every single day and just go out into the world as a professional. That's the St. Louis Suit Company, the corner of Central and Forsyth. Of course, they've got the ties that they sell for $5. That's crazy. $5. That's great. What a price. Great ties. I love them. I have so many ties, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to choose. Well, my biggest problem is I don't know what matches. But I do have a whole set of ties that have been designated for my suits by the people at St. Louis Suit Company because they really help you with everything. Now, if you're getting married, there you go. Wedding attire at the St. Louis Suit Company. They're famous for that. They're really excellent. They will help you through all of it. I mean, weddings are stressful. They shouldn't be. They should be happy times, but they're often stressful. But you won't stress out over the clothing, not the men's clothes anyway, if you go to the St. Louis Suit Company in Clayton. They've been there 29 years. That's no accident. St. Louis Suit Company. Go there. Okay. Here's a good one. Lowering the temperature. I don't know who this guy is. He's a Missouri nut. I guess his name is Lincoln Huff. Lieutenant governor. Running for lieutenant governor. He says that Trump has been mistreated by Biden and Harris, and that all of you have been, because they've opened the border to drug cartels that will come here and murder everybody. You know, I've heard this commercial over and over again. And every time I listen to it, I laugh. And I say to myself, first, he's got to be desperate to be saying ridiculous things like this, because the lieutenant governor of Missouri has nothing to do with immigration. Absolutely nothing. It's not his job. It's not even something within his capabilities. He just grabs something that he thinks can get somebody elected. So he figured, what the heck? I'll paste it onto my forehead and let's see if it works. This is what Donald Trump has done to the country. It's given us people like this guy, I guess, Lincoln Huff, whoever he is. I'll never mention his name again because he's nobody. And J.D. Vance. I just can't get over it. It was the worst pick that he could come up with because it guarantees that these people in the Trump campaign are going to go forward with the same crazed accusations of murder and mayhem coming from immigrants and black people from Africa and every other group that he can come up with, that he can find a way to point a finger at in a way that really harms this country. And instead of dialing down the temperature, actually turns it up just ridiculously. I have to tell you, I walk around out here on days like today. It's 100 degrees out, and everybody says, oh, it's so hot out. And I say, wow, I love this. This 100-degree weather is fabulous. Wait till you get to January. You're going to be crying when it's 10 below. So enjoy the 100-degree weather. You know, when it's 100 degrees, that's when you see the best baseball. So really, enjoy it. But turning up the temperature in the political arena after you just had your ear shot off is about as stupid as anything I've ever seen out here. And picking J.D. Vance is like saying, I'm coming after you all and wait until you see what I'm going to do next. Now, I'll grant you, it's important that this guy not act like a human being, because if he does, he could get elected, and then Project 2025 could become a real deal. That's the last thing we need. I listened right up until the moment that the gun was shot in Pennsylvania to all these reports on 2025 on the project. And believe me, these reports are coming right back. Just, wait a few days when everybody gives the all clear to go crazy. You're going to hear some really serious arguments going on, and you're going to hear the Republican Party promoting an agenda that is so radical and so dangerous that the Democrats will have absolutely no choice but to respond page by page by page, reading Project 2025 so that the people of this country know the details of what Donald Trump wants to do. And, here's some details for you. Just, again, prior to the mayhem in Pennsylvania, Orban and Putin met. And then after they met, then Donald went and met with Orban. And they've come up with something that they're calling peace 5.0. How they got to 5.0, I have no idea, but it doesn't really matter because it's all lunacy. What's happening here is that while Joe Biden is meeting with 32 members of Europe in NATO, think about this now. 32 democracies. Now, granted, you've got Viktor Orban in there and he's not, so that's one less. And Turkey is questionable. It's not fair to call Turkey a democracy, but it's sort of on the edge. So anyway, you got 30 countries in there, democracies. And that's who Joe Biden met with. And they're talking about how to protect Europe from the next Adolf Hitler, who's out there right now. And I'm talking about Putin now. Putin is the modern day Adolf Hitler. Donald is simply using Hitler's language to support programs that benefit the efforts of Putin. So again, we know that Donald's on the side of Putin. He's on the side of Orban. I mean, he and Orban were high-fiving each other 3 days ago in the White House. No, I take it back. I think it was in Mar-a-Lago. It doesn't really matter. What are they doing this for? Of course, yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then, just like I make a little mistake and say the White House, but it's really Mar-a-Lago, Joe Biden says something and everybody goes nuts. But I will say this to be fair. Joe struggles with pronunciation. His words run together. He's got struggles. Now, we've already seen that those struggles would not prevent him from running this country in a highly effective way, because he's doing it right now. He's meeting with NATO. He's propping up these European countries. He's protecting the entire world from an explosion into World War III. Now, it's true that there are people on Donald's side who point to what Biden's doing and say that he's basically threatening Putin and he's turning up the heat, and that pretty soon Putin will run out and start launching nuclear weapons. But he won't. He won't do it, and Joe Biden knows he won't do it, and it's for the same reason that Kenneth Waltz, who was a professor, he and Scott Sagan crisscrossed the country and debated each other over nuclear weapons. And essentially what they said, although Sagan said we shouldn't have as many nuclear weapons, we should get rid of a bunch of them and prevent more countries from joining the club. But really, beyond all that, both of them knew it's too dangerous for anybody to launch these things. I mean, I shouldn't have to say this. I understand Putin is saying he's going to do it, but he's been saying that now for a year and a half. Every once in a while, he comes out and he says, I'm going to do it. I'm not bluffing. I'm going to do it. And then he doesn't do it. And we all know the reason. Because the minute he does it, the whole world is gone. That includes his family and the families of the Russian oligarchs who may like their money that they make under Putin, for sure. But that money's not worth anything if there's no planet left. And you launch nuclear weapons, and that's the end. And it's true that Putin keeps saying he's going to do it. Going to do it. I'm not bluffing. I'm going to do it. It's what he keeps saying. Actually, it sort of reminds you of somebody saying, we're going to have an infrastructure bill. It's coming any week. 2 weeks, we're going to do it. I mean, Donald said that for 4 years. He did nothing. Now, somebody out here could say, infrastructure, what's that? How important is that in comparison to a discussion about nuclear weapons? Well, the answer is it's very important because it has to do with credibility. And the truth is that Putin has no credibility because he can't launch those weapons. And yes, it's sort of dangerous for Volodymyr Zelensky to launch weapons into Russia. It is. But why is it happening? It's happening because Russia's attacking them, blowing up hospitals and all the rest. So, look, the Ukrainians have to protect themselves, and they're going to. And the United States and Europe are protecting Ukraine. The United States promised Europe in the early 1990s, when they dismantled the nuclear weapons that the Russians put there, that the United States would protect them forever into the future because those weapons were gone. So we've done it. And now Europe has joined us in protecting Ukraine, despite the fact that they're not in NATO. And the interesting part of that is, which Donald lied about, the United States is paying the minority of the money for Ukraine, and the majority of the money is being paid by Europe. Europe is paying primarily for the defense of Ukraine, and the United States is right in there with them. But Europe isn't walking away from anything. They're being responsible. Can you give Joe Biden all the credit for that? I'd say no, but you can certainly give him a bunch of credit for it. Because remember, Donald wanted to shut NATO down. If Donald had gotten a second term, there would be no NATO. There would be no Ukraine. And who knows which country Vladimir Putin would be attacking today? Would it be Poland? Would it be all the way through Latvia and Lithuania and Estonia? Would it be all the way up into those northern countries? You know, Joe Biden has said that we, the United States, will defend every inch of NATO's land. Every inch. So I guess that limits what Vladimir Putin can do, and he knows it. But if Donald Trump were in power, well, Donald's already told us. We've all heard it. We've heard it over and over, where Donald has said, I would tell Putin to do whatever the hell he wants in Europe to countries that don't pay up. But see, again, pay up. It's a stupid comment because that's not how it works. Michael McFaul, former ambassador to the Soviet Union, who is currently a professor of political science at Stanford, has explained over and over again that NATO is not a protection racket. Putin and Trump, probably, I guess, led by Putin, Donald's puppeteer, they treat it like a protection racket. Donald says, if you pay, the United States will protect you. If you don't pay, we won't protect you. But that's not what it says in Article 5. In Article 5, it says if you're in NATO and anybody attacks any country in NATO, any country, any city, any part of it, then every one of the 32 countries will come to their protection. Period. If you're attacked by anybody, the United States and the 31 other countries will come to your defense. It's that simple. That's NATO. And it stops worldwide conflagration. It works. We've done it for 75 years, and it works. That's all. This isn't a guess. This is what we've done. We know that it works. Forget Peace 5.0. We can have peace. All you have to do is tell the dictators of the world, don't attack the 32 countries in NATO, and you'll be okay. However, we throw in South Korea. Yeah, I'm sorry, South Korea and I want to say Taiwan. I want to say Formosa, but I mean, you know that Taiwan was Formosa, but yeah, so okay. Joe Biden. So I made about 3 mistakes tonight. Sue me. But, you know, if if Joe Biden has to go in order to beat Donald, well, it might be necessary. I would feel bad about it because I really think that Joe Biden's brilliant. He knows what he's doing in world affairs. And the only person that I think knew more than Joe Biden was Hillary. I mean, Hillary was a genius. And so was Bill, for that matter. But Hillary was. She was a genius Secretary of State. She knows what she's doing. And by the way, and I mentioned this last week, but I'll say it again as we work our way to the end of tonight. We're going to see more polls. But so far, Biden in the latest polls was up by 2 points. And Kamala was up by 4. And just for the heck of it, they threw in Hillary to see how she would compare. And she was up by 4. Because Donald is so weak that he can't even beat Hillary Clinton, who actually beat him the first time anyway by 3 million votes. But that's not how the Electoral College works. I understand all that, and that's fair. But the point is, Donald's not so popular. And by the way, let me throw this in before we get out of here on popularity. Overnight, because Donald survived the gunshot, this is the bizarre nature of Wall Street, that company of his, overnight, it was up $20 a share. That means he made, this morning, overnight, he made $2.5 billion. But before you jump up and down and say, see, Kaysen was wrong. Oh, no, I wasn't wrong. Because the price of the stock went to $50 overnight. And right now, it's currently sitting at $36 a share. It's already dropped back 14 of those $20 that it gained because those people that bought it, they were stupid. I still say it's going to $1. We'll see. Donald will come out of it with maybe 100 million or 50 million, which will buy him a few things to eat at the prison. Okay. This is Showdown, brought to you by, of course, Wenty's and Jules on Hampton and the St. Louis Suit Company. And I'll see you tomorrow night. I'm Mark Kaysen. Good night.